Warning, this podcast has some swears in it.
I'd rate it PG-13 at most, but let's just be on the safe side and say viewer discretion is advised.
So I think you're supposed to, tell me about Elden Ring DLC.
Right, yeah, okay. So, because, people were like, release the Bloodborne cut. that was so funny. Yeah, Elden Ring, good. And Elden Ring, of course, well, I say for Elden Ring, but I mean, FromSoft loves giving people the throwbacks. So, even in Armored Core, they're like, hey, you. You're like, yeah. They're like, do you like the Moonlight Greatsword? And you're like, yes, the apple to my eye. Of course. And they're like, cool. Even in this giant mech game, you can get the Moonlight. And you're like, cool. So it's always in the game. And of course they did that in Elden Ring in the base game. And everyone's like, cool. It is used as a betrothal thing where someone from the Carrion wizard family gives it to their betrothed. You're like, cool. So I have to go on this really long, weird marriage quest? They're like, yeah. You're like, sick. But Bloodborne.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. It's a whole thing. You get married to a blue puppet with 4 arms. Don't worry about it.
Bro, what?
So the Bloodborne thing. So you go really deep into the map and you jump down this hole that should definitely have killed you, but you survive because it's, FromSoft. And then you look up and it's the Child of Cause rushing at you on a horse. And you're like, well, hello, Bloodborne DLC. What the fuck is this shit? And then it hits you with its giant rib cage, and you're like, yes, this is Bloodborne-esque. This is neat. And then you're like, oh hey, there's these giant lantern people that if they look into my eyeballs, I become insane and die. Hello, Bloodborne again. It's fucking awesome.
What?
Yeah, it's a whole thing, Quinn. I think you should get into Elden Ring.
I just don't know if I have it in me to play Soulsborne.
Listen, just mod the shit out of it. So you play it in single player, and you multiply your damage threshold and make it easy mode. And then you can be like, I am also marrying the blue 4-armed puppet. Because reasons.
I really want to find out what's going on in there. Somebody should just hold my hand through it.
I'm down with that. But anyway, that's the Elden Ring / Bloodborne watch. Let's get this episode started.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Time to raise your blades, heroes.
And check some vibes.
It's the Heroes Blade Vibe Check.
What is up, gamers? We are back at it again on the Heroes Blade Vibe Check podcast. I'm your host, Empress Quinn, and with me I've got my host, Cole. Say what's good.
Okay, it's time to get this Mexican Coca-Cola open. Give me a sec here. There we go. Okay, I don't know if
delicious. You went and found one of the fancy ones in the glass bottle. I love that for you.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm a freakish Coca-Cola fan. It is probably if magic is my monetary / gambling addiction, Coca-Cola is a drug addiction.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how much different could this Mexican Coke be? As everyone on Twitter is like, yo, Cole, what are you okay? What do you mean Mexican Coke? And I'm like, the Coca-Cola, guys, let's calm down. Yeah, it does taste a little bit different, and I do like it. So I've stocked up and will probably continue to stock up. It's pretty good.
I love that for you. We love to expand our horizons and try different varieties of things.
I don't.
Yeah, well, you did in this particular case, so we're applauding that.
I'm bringing a bunch of this shit to my birthday Magic the Gathering thing next Friday, so gonna share the wealth.
You're gonna be a little birthday boy soon?
The big ol' 3-0.
Oh, wow.
And I'm bringing a box of Assassin's Creed with me to share the wealth, the celebration. Yeah, everyone's just going to be getting a bunch of Assassin's Creed packs when we meet up next week. It's going to be great.
That's very exciting. I hope you open sort of Feast and Famine. I think that's like a chase hit.
Yeah,
God, or something. I don't know.
I don't know about the whole EV. I don't know. What do they call that? The EV or whatever? I don't know how much the set's
I don't crack packs.
I don't care. I'm normally just buy singles. This is the exception to the rule. But anyway, that's probably going to be talked about the next episode.
Yeah, we'll find out what hot singles you got into.
So, I'll just preface. I'll be a little low energy, maybe. It's been a busy last couple days. But will this be another 2-hour-long episode? God, sit down. Let's find out. Let's get started.
You don't have to make any fucking excuses. You're literally God here.
Yeah. Listen. If you listen to this podcast,
babes.
If it's another 2-hour episode and you'll love it. And if you don't, I mean, well, go listen to your hour-long Magic the Gathering podcast. That's okay too. So speaking of people listening to the podcast, as I had finally decided to get past the paywall to the Legendary Creature podcast Discord, I jump in and I'd be like, "Hey guys, what's up? Love what you're up to." And Andy, who seems to be in there all the time, was immediately like, "Hey, yeah, what's up?" And then I'm like, something podcast, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, hey, by the way, Quinn, who's been here forever, is a obviously big fan, my co-host. Don't need to. I wasn't trying to shill, but check us out." And then Andy messages me, and it was very lovely to have this. Andy is like, this really ain't my thing. Okay, let me just, hey, I've been loving your podcast, been kind of jumping around cherry picking episodes. But great stuff, really chill. Not usually my cup of tea, casual conversation podcast. But I don't know. I really like you and Quinn's style. Great stuff. So, Annie, thank you for listening if you happen to hear this part.
Yeah, thanks for coming through, fam. We really appreciate it.
Go check out the Legendary Creature podcast, the podcast that Quinn has listened over 4 times or something.
All right, listen, you don't need to put my business in the streets like that.
You literally talked about it last episode.
Okay, but it's different when I'm doing it.
Okay, fine. All right. But yeah, and of course, obviously, thank you to everyone who does also listen to us. It's just greatly appreciated that you're along for the ride with us. And here is 2 more episodes. Time for that Spotify question of the week. Hey, by the way, we're on Spotify and we're on YouTube. So, you want to listen, you want to watch, go check that stuff out. But if you listen to Spotify and you have access to Spotify, you can answer our question of the episode where I put in last time, do you enjoy immersion-breaking music mentions and sound effects in your Magic the Gathering podcast? To which we did have a couple chime into it. How about you read out what our lovely listeners said?
Yeah, from Braden, we've got, I imagine they will be mentioned in the episode. Haven't finished it, but I've listened to enough Bullcast and Salt Mine to be in the demographic. It's been a while. Excessive gunshots. Yeah.
Mike is pretty crazy with that gunshot soundboard in the Bullcast episodes. And what did Claire have to say?
And from Claire, we've got, I didn't think I would, but Quinn demanding extremely loud incorrect buzzer sounds to show how wrong Cole was converted me that all podcasts should have more sound effects. That's just how I talk, babes. I will in sentences just be like extremely loud incorrect buzzer when people are wrong.
Yeah, you literally you do insert GIF of XYZ here or whatever, and you're just
Yeah,
like,
because you know what I'm talking about. We can save bandwidth. I don't have to actually send the GIF. I'll just say the file name.
I have to send it because it's funny.
Or I'll be like a Rodin Bayonetta beautiful dot wave.
Beautiful.
Well, that is also going in the episode now. God, I do love Bayonetta. Rodin is fucking sick. But yeah, whether or not more weird random sound effects are going in the episode, who knows? That was still a bit of a test in the waters thing, but it is fun to throw that in there. And then, because I'm cheeky and we're across the internet, across different sources of social media, I went to Twitter and asked, while we are getting ready for this week's episode, we have a question for you. What is your secret tech to not get got by the One Ring? That's not a counterspell.
Very specific reference to a Discord post that I made about a questing beast that I got because I was tired of getting got by the One Ring.
I love how your answer was the questing beast.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, read this card, and people are like, I don't know how to read suddenly. And you're like, all right, take damage. And they're like, well, damn. So this was a surprisingly thorough for us, but like quite a few people contributed their thoughts here. So let's just go through the list here and see what people have got cooking. Good old Prophet Varies, over from Casual Sevens, very top of the list was like just a shitload of these effects, and it's just Underworld Dreams.
Oh, okay, so I see instead of going like the anti-fog route, he's going on like the I'll just punish their excessive card draw route.
Yep. So, hey, you like drawing cards? How do you like Shieldred the Apocalypse? Or, what was that hag? Like that enchantment hag? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, gosh. I know the one you're talking about.
You know the one. We know the one.
Owling Mind deck.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, pretty good answer. Like the way you're thinking, Prof. Good old Bio, Greg, the hype man of Twitter for every Magic the Gathering streaming personality you can think of, giving out 100 bits like every stream. It's wild. This dude's everywhere.
Fade Unraveler.
There we go.
Sorry, that was going to bother me for a long time until we got it. Anyway, back to Bio.
Bio, in the same train of thought as you are by saying the green response, is Questing Beast.
Yeah, that's how you do it. It's got that lovely little paragraph of text that says combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. We'll just punch through that fog.
You will be punched. And speaking of being punched through fog effects, Lenny was here, who knows very firsthand what it's like to be hit with a stomp, is here saying, why not deal with the One Ring alongside all those pesky treasure, clue, and food tokens with Titania's Song? 3 and a green for an enchantment that says each non-creature artifact loses its abilities and is an artifact creature, power and toughness equal to its mana value. And then when it leaves play, this effect, I have to look that up, but apparently the effect continues until the end of the turn that Titania's Song was out.
Oh yeah, dude, you gotta let her finish.
Yeah, no, it just says if Titania's Song leaves the battlefield, this effect continues until the end of the turn. Wow, that is awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah, she's finished. She's like on that the refrain or whatever, the chorus. You gotta let her get through to the end of that. You don't want to cut her off.
That is awesome.
But that's a pretty cool way around it. You just like turn off the abilities, and then it's an indestructible 4/4. Or I guess it loses its abilities. It loses the indestructible too. Then it's just a vanilla 4/4. That dies to Doomblade, I think. I don't remember what that kills.
Does Doomblade? I guess it's just non-black creature because Go for the Throat is non-artifact. Pick your Doomblade variant. You'll get it.
Destroy target non-black creature. Dies to Doomblade.
Play Golgari plus whatever color, and you can kill it with Titania's Song and a Doomblade. Who are the other people in this lovely thread that answered our question?
We've got a Vangabus with a Make Them Miserable, and he just posts Karn the Great Creator. Yeah, that. Just turn it off entirely. Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, good old passive activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. Very cool.
Yara King Null Rod Karn. We've also got Fredo at Virtue_MTG says, "It's mine now, Lamau," and posts Hostage Taker, which ETBs an exiles target artifact or creature until Hostage Taker leaves the battlefield. And you can cast that card for as long as it remains exiled and spend mana, so mana of any type to cast that spell. So you just steal it for yourself.
I mean, you know what? To be honest, I have not seen a Hostage Taker hit the battlefield in Commander recently, so I would be pretty excited to see this more often.
I feel like you're not playing against enough Grixis plus Pirates gamers.
You might be right.
Because it's in my Sapphic Blue Farm Pirates deck. I think it probably is in the precon.
That's probably why I haven't seen it. But yeah, cool card. I think it's got reprinted a couple times. I think it has different artwork somewhere, doesn't it?
It's an Outlaws of Thunder Junction Commander, Ixalan Commander, Middle-earth Commander, Double Masters. There's a lot of precons that gets printed in, actually. So if you're not seeing that, I don't know what to tell you. What happened to your metagame?
Well, we talk about it like all the time, so I guess just no one's playing it. Dirtaz, aka Unruly Catapult, and I'm pretty sure this is also Brayden, is saying here, having a play group that chooses not to run it for power and financial reasons. I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah.
That is, I mean, true. There's, hey, we got the people who like to proxy stuff, and we got the people who are like, I don't know, man, I'm broke. I can't even really buy, like, printer ink. We just don't got it, And yeah.
I respect that. You just have a conversation. I don't want to see the One Ring in this metagame, and if everybody's like in on that, then you don't have to deal with it. I love that for you all.
Sleeping Wisp, or True Sleeping Wisp, says, my cards with Notion Thief.
Oh yeah, just stealing the card draw is pretty sweet.
Yeah, you're like, I activate the One Ring for 3, and you're like, lol, Lamau, lose that life, and I take your cards. Seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this artwork from the guest spot, or whatever it's called.
Special guests, yeah.
Pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, that looks real good. It's from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction special guest. I could get my hands on one of those. Mm-hmm. Do I have anywhere that I play Notion Thief? I don't think so. Oh, I think it's literally just the Grixis Mordor precon.
Okay, because I'll be like, would you not want to put that in the Grixis Owling Mine? Or is it that you don't care that because you want other people to draw cards?
I want other people to draw cards. If I play a Notion Thief, then my Underworld Dream suddenly doesn't do anything because they don't draw any cards. I draw those cards.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I can't hit them with a Rune Flare Trap if they don't have cards in their hand. And my Unquenchable Fury also needs hand size for that to work. So it's kind of just like the opposite of my game plan.
Yeah. I'm going to combine this one a bit. Because two people mentioned Bone Crusher Giant. Claire mentions it, and so does Foster Dawson 8. Foster saying, I put my gun boot on their head and fire straight downwards with the alternate art version of Bone Crusher Giant, which is, great choice, fantastic. But Claire also says, kill the player before they play it, or the turn after the protection ends, murder so aggressively with fire, and Bone Crusher Giants. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I try and do. But sometimes, the One Ring comes down and you just, didn't have the answer for it immediately. And then that turn of protection that they buy, bricks all of your plans. And
it matters so much. I hate it.
It's a lot. So I'm just like, I need you to not be able to fog things. That can't happen.
This is another hilarious one where that coincides with one another. Plaidclad, Nick, is like, kindly yet firmly ask Andy Flower to stop.
Yeah, Andy's a One Ring in every deck gamer, so is Fitz. So they're out there, and Fitz says, just play my own One Ring.
Yeah. But yeah, so then Andy says, honestly, if you know a friend that has it in their deck, I'm that friend. You should target them. Thank you for the honesty. If they land the One Ring, they're going to abuse it. That's just how it is. Take out the player before it drops. Also, Anguish and Making and the like go the extra mile, targeted exile rules, which I totally agree with. Yeah.
There's a couple of cards in the set that they put in there specifically to deal with that. I think Fear Fire Foes turns off damage prevention so you can punch through. And then Cast Into the Fire, I think there's a red 2-mana spell that exiles target artifact on one of the modes. And then I forget what the other one does. But like there's cards in there specifically to deal with that. I think that's pretty sweet.
Well, that was basically that. Like, there were so many cool things that they did in design for the Lord of the Rings set that, like, you could deal. There was the artwork of the Witch King of Agmar getting smoked because it deals 3 damage, and you're like, oh, the Witch King has 3 toughness. Wow, and it's just like small stuff like that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Cast in the Fire's modes are deal 1 damage to each up to 2 target creatures, and then the other one is exile target artifact.
Gotcha, yeah.
Which goes right into from Brewitt Cody, who went through a bit of a rebrand with Brew It or Screw It, which I'll talk about later. Just says, you could clearly throw it into the fires of Mount Doom, which is, that you just do that. We could pay a bunch of money, go on a trip of your own journey of casting the One Ring into the fire. Apparently, if you do that, if you disrupt the surface of a volcano, you could actually trigger an eruption.
Well, we need to not do that then.
So maybe just settle for, like,
We
I don't
can
know.
also replicate that experience in-game by playing the card Mount Doom and activating its board wipe ability, sacrificing the ring as our legendary artifact to pay for it.
I got to do that the other day. Not the One Ring part.
It's really satisfying when you get to do that, except mine was a complete flavor fail because the only things that were left standing were the Dark Lord Sauron and his large orc army.
When I was like, I need a legendary artifact to activate this Mount Doom so I can try to survive this game before someone cast the new white spell that gave their board hexproof and indestructible.
Flare of Fortitude?
I got God the other day. We'll talk about it later. But I was like, Illuminor Ceres from Warhammer 40k, you are, in fact, a legendary artifact. It's time for you to go into Mount Doom to save this game. To which, it did not happen. Mount Doom was thwarted, and it was, like, very frustrating.
You got some Stifle gamers on deck, or did they just have the...
No, they had the flare.
They had the flare on deck. Gotcha.
Yeah. Just hard casted it. It was like, wow, yeah, that is a 4 mana spell.
Those are so easy to hard cast, I feel like. I gotta get my hands on some of
I was
those.
like, okay, cool. I don't know, that game was just full of just, like, gotcha moments. I saw a mono white wizard counterspell duel, except it was removal and a bunch of interaction. It was just like, dear God, what is happening here? Talk about it later. But yeah, one last. Obviously, there was the continuous player removal options. Someone, Scarab God Simp, sent a gif of someone having a brick thrown at their head, which, little intense. I appreciate the energy. That's sometimes how I feel about a Commander game. And Russ Vernix? Remy Voidwalker says, Thieving Skydiver, where you can pay kicker for X equals 4 and then take control of someone's One Ring.
Just steal the One Ring for yourself. Sweet.
And then a good old 2-mana copy artifact, 1 in a blue, where you just select any artifact in play, and then it becomes a copy of that artifact. And I think it probably also...
Yeah, you still get the cast trigger then.
You still get the cast trigger. Woo, let's go for X.
Phyrexian Metamorph, yeah, it does that.
Let's bring that back again. Yeah, maybe I should just start playing blue more. That's just really what I'm getting out of this.
Maybe. It seems like your best answers are to run the anti-fog tech, copy it or steal it for yourself, or counter it on the stack, or kill them.
I will put more Tybalt's trickeries into my red decks.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That seems like an okay answer.
We should also be playing more Transcantation and just turn spells into lightning bolts instead. It's like a playtest card, but whatever, it's fine.
It'll happen maybe eventually, That'd be, Wizards. Hey, Gavin Verhey, if you're listening. Do it. Just do it.
I think it's so good. It's one of my favorite interaction spells.
Okay, so thank you for everyone who's participating in our lovely questions of the week / episode. Really making the first section really beefy. Loving that. We just had people reach out to us because the new hotness is here of Assassin's Creed. The good old Universes Beyond set of 100 cards with probably terrible pack designs, but we won't be talking about that. We're just going to talk about how awesome this stuff is. We once again had Braden, and we had Katie Combat reach out. So thank you to the Combats for listening to us in the background and then being like, hey, by the way, we're going to shout you out. Braden is talking about Xiao Jun, who's so cool.
Yeah, she looks cool as hell. She's a legendary creature, human assassin for 1 blue-red, and she's got Leap Strike. As long as it's your turn, Xiaojin has Flying and First Strike, and Rope Dart. Tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. Xiaojin deals 1 damage to each opponent, and she's a 3/3. That seems like a really solid body, and you can deal burn damage to end the game.
There's been a lot of hype around her already for all the people who are like, yeah, I too like to combo out with curiosity effects and just do a bunch of stuff. I also think, I'm pretty sure she's an uncommon rarity, so some people...
Yeah, she is indeed an uncommon. You can tell by the symbol in the bottom left-hand corner that says U.
U, if you squint and look hard enough. Obviously, Laura was right on top of that, which was pretty great. Those pauper EDH players were waiting in the wings when discussion was going around. Just being like, yo, we talk about uncommon legends, let me tell you about pauper. And we're like, okay, can you relax, please? Like, my god. Let us breathe a bit. We just got through Modern Horizons 3. We're here now. But yeah, so... Braden says here, this card is a huge pass in the vibe check for me. The blade alongside the Reaver Cleaver, and maybe a cheeky grafted exoskeleton? It's time for some real trash magic complimentary.
Yeah, she's an uncommon, but I feel like you could definitely put together a solid trash magic build. There's so many ways to generate a bunch of artifacts, and like you said, once you've got the grafted exoskeleton on her, you just need to tap, whatever the fucking the math is, and then they're dead to infect.
Yeah, I saw the buzz about it through my Twitter feed, so I'm expecting to hear and see a lot about her in the near future pretty soon. Pretty exciting. And then Katie Combat coming back with the Samut deck mentioned the last time that we asked a very similar question like this. Katie gave us just all these check marks of Legendary, checkmark, Legends Attack, checkmark, Top Deck Manipulation. Windmill slamming this into Samut, and it is Senu, Keen-Eyed Protector.
Oh yeah, that bird is sweet. It's a legendary creature, Bird Scout for 1 and a white, flying and vigilance 2/1. And you can tap it and exile it to gain 2 life and scry 2. And when a legendary creature you control attacks and isn't blocked, if Senu's exiled, put it onto the battlefield tapped put it onto the battlefield attacking. It's not even tapped. Wild.
Yeah. So it's the fact that it has a built-in exile, like back from exile effect. So even if something else gets it out, You could be like, cool, attack with my Odric Blood Cursed, and it isn't blocked for some goddamn reason, and send it right back with a couple keywords, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to trying to get a blinged copy version of this bird, because I think very blood jerk playable, just based off all those stats and effects and stuff.
Yeah, I think it comes down early. It sets you up to do whatever business you're going to do. The top deck manipulation keeps you in the game a little bit. If you can, especially if you can repeat that life gain a couple of times, it'll tilt me into the sun and like pad out your life total.
Oh boy, can't wait to talk about that. All right, well, Katie and Brayden, thank you for submitting your random shout outs. It was really appreciated. And we will now get into some vibe checks. What do you got? What do you got for us this week?
Yesterday I actually played against a Lucius the Eternal deck, and I feel like that guy passes the vibe check. He's from Warhammer, and he's a 5/3, which is the most important numbers on him.
Mm-hmm. He's got haste. He's 3 black and a red.
Yeah, haste, 3 black and a red, 5/3. Armor of Shrieking Souls. When Lucius the Eternal dies, exile it and choose target creature an opponent controls. When that creature leaves the battlefield, return Lucius the Eternal from exile to the battlefield under its owner's control. So he's really hard to just like get rid of permanently or force them to pay the commander tax on. He's doing a lot of zone changing, as they say, going in and out of exile and
Surge.
dying and all that.
Warstorm Surge.
Yeah, one of the strong cards in the deck that we saw was Warstorm Surge. We also saw a lot of just nasty fucking work with the Doomweaver.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, was that the game with Benoit?
Yeah.
Yeah, Doomweaver, let's fucking go. I need to get another copy of that card. It's so good.
Yeah, both of those cooked extremely hard together. Then I just think the extra 3 damage you get for free from the auto-equip on the blade when he enters the battlefield again seems like a no-brainer with all of the power matter setups that you have. You just stack those triggers so he's got the blade on first.
Yeah, that seems pretty good, yeah. I always love seeing, like, we've been mentioning Warhammer cards a little bit here and there already in this episode, but just goes to show, like, regardless of your feelings of Universes Beyond, sometimes they make some really cool stuff, and you get to see it in action like that, which is so fucking cool. Doomweaver, oh my god. That's awesome. It kind of gives me, it's kind of reminding me of Garna the Bloodflame energy, where Garna gives everything, all the creatures you control haste. It has flash for 5, and then when it enters, you return to your hand all the creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. So that includes mill and everything. And I just think of like your weird 5-mana Rakdos legend that has something to do with when it enters or like leaves or like some condition. I don't know that. God, am I gonna make another Rakdos deck? Oh my god.
You boys lost in the sauce already.
I can't do it again. I've already been sweating about making another one. But anyway.
Of course you can.
I know, I did, and it's the Imskir that I kind of barely played, and it kind of sucked the first time around, so
Alright, well, that's maybe variance. We gotta run that back. Let's get some games in eventually.
Yeah, I just need to sit down and look at it again. I'm going to do my vibe check.
Yeah.
Radun Hagadun. Or, if you're just going to be that guy, Connor Kenway from Assassin's Creed 3.
No, that's Wax. Say the one they put on the card.
What?
Say the name they put on the card.
Yeah, Radun Hagadun.
Yeah. You got it. Go ahead.
So, because I pulled the card up right away, for sure. I'm totally prepared for this. Here we go. Future Cole, edit this out.
You did great, sweetie.
A color combination I am not the biggest fan of being black, white, and blue. But you get a 3-mana 3/3 human assassin, where as long as Rodun Hagadun hasn't dealt damage yet, it has hexproof and can't be blocked. Fucking sick. Love that. So we get a 6/5 unblockable, you can't really interact with targeted stuff until damage is dealt. Then Rodun Hagadun deals combat damage to a player. Create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with menace. Love that. When you do, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then attach it to that token. So you're teaching people the tools of the trade, and I think it's pretty cool to have a Esper equipment matters with, like, I guess you could, like, do self-mill and get, like, your swords of whatever.
That's another perfect place for the deck called Gotta Put These Swords Somewhere.
Yeah. And it's just the fact that, like, maybe you are lacking in red, which is normally what we would expect for, like, sort of an equipment focus, but yeah, I do like the direction of this. You could maybe, like, lose the Hero's Blade, but then you just bring it back and put it on some other equipment or some other token, which is, like, great. You also bypass the equip cost again. And then later, if you need to bring him back, you just do it again. The Hero's Blade shifts control, and you're right back in the action. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sweet. I would love to see this deck from you. They're really, like, calling your name for Esper equipment these days, babes. We got Arna Kennerud, who also passes the vibe check, PT Dubs. And this new guy, Rodun Hagadun. I feel like you could play Esper equipment and have a good time with that.
But it doesn't beat all the equipment focus that Kristen's been doing with Cassandra.
Okay, but that's a different deck.
Yeah, I know there's a different deck, but Cassandra's really cool, though.
Cassandra is really fucking cool.
Speaking of Boros, what is your other vibe check?
Yeah, speaking of Boros, I got absolutely clapped up by a classic commander the other day. Aurelia, the War Leader. She passes the vibe check. Homegirl comes down and is just like 3/4 normally, picks up the sword, immediately 6 power, and then you go to combat and she's giving you 2 combats. So if you don't have blocks, you're looking at an easy 12 in the air, and then next turn you take another 12 and you're simply fucking dead.
Yup. Yeah. As someone who is a big fan of Aurelia in general in anything that doesn't have her as a commander, she is always either immediately removed, or somehow copied in some way, shape, or form, because
As
everyone else.
What a game warping card.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously becoming a 6/6. With extra combats and very good offensive evasive keywords. Good old flying vigilance haste. Yeah, it's just, she's nuts. That 6 mana is well spent if you do hardcaster.
Mm-hmm. I really respect the like quad pips commanders.
Yeah. Oh god, all of them did have that, didn't they?
Yeah, that was the unifying through line for that cycle. I think was they all had those quad pips.
Yeah, Trostani and Rakdos were hard for mana for their cause. Zagana was 6. Oh yeah, they 6. All really did. Wow. I don't know why I never realized that until now. And that was one of the immediate sets, because that was Innistrad Return Erotica standard that I was playing in, and I was all over that, and for whatever reason it just did not click for me whatsoever.
Yeah, that's wild. Sometimes you don't notice those things until you're looking at it 10 years later with a bird's eye view or some shit.
Checks notes. Is it 10 years? No, it's like
I don't actually know. I just threw
it's
that
it's like 12 years. Let's not think about it.
More than 10 years.
Yeah, we're
well then.
I'm feeling my knees creak a little bit here. You're not helping.
All right, well, tell me about a new card to make you feel better.
Okay. We'll throw out the last one later because it feels crazy to not think about in retrospect as well. But hey, let's talk about Tameo, Inquisitive Student. This is Ice Tep, aka Gabe's new favorite Magic the Gathering card, and I also think it's the same for Listener Elf for CEDH.
She's sweet.
Tameo, Inquisitive Student is a 1-mana 0/3 Moonfolk Wizard flying. Whenever Tameo attacks, investigate, so you get to make a clue token, sweet. If you draw your third card into turn, exile Tameo, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control, which then, thank you, Flip Walkers. Tameo Seasoned Scholar, who becomes the Simic, or basically Simic color identity, but net. Starts with 2 loyalty. Your +2 says until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets -1, -0 until end of turn. -3 says return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a green card, add 1 mana of any color.
Oh, wow.
And then -7 says draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library. Run it up. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. So pretty stacked. For a 1-mana planeswalker. Hero's Blade. Now, this is kind of a similar thing that Lenny was like, well, I don't know if a Johnny fits it. The difference, the way I look at it, depends on how you want to build Tameo. But I think just offensively and defensively, having a 1-mana 3/5 with a flyer is pretty good. But then you start making clue tokens by swinging out. I don't know if this is is Tameo always going to be a turn 1 play into every Commander game? I don't know. But
Probably.
But giving her a bit of an extra boost never hurts. And I guess it just does depend. I learned about this because I did a thing with Tameo in a hypothetical Moxfield list.
Oh, yeah?
Where I did not realize that when you draw your third card, it is a mandatory flip. So that is something to think about, because I was thinking of just using the first side offensively. Because I'm just a combat player at heart, and that's just how it works. But yeah, very cool design. Surprised to see her at so low of a cost. It's wild. And yeah, people seem to be enjoying her.
Wait, do you mean mana value cost or dollars cost?
Oh, no. Dollars cost, she's $20 or something. She's actually,
okay.
No, she's way more. She's 30. I don't know.
Gotcha, yeah. She sounded like an expensive card, so I'm just wait, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
What do you mean $1? Have we reached that point yet? No, thankfully we have not, but...
Alright, well, it'd be like that.
But yeah, Tameo, I think does, just for the express purpose of, she has 0 power, she needs a bit of help. And then finally, I just don't know why I never thought about this. Elenda the Dusk Rose.
Yeah.
So, when Elenda dies, because, hey, thank you, Commander Errata, so they die and go to your command zone. Create X 1/1 vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is Elenda's power. Well, suddenly having a 4-mana 4/3 seems pretty good to get some more immediate value than just starting as a 1/1.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be really annoying. Also, she has lifelink, so you're just and if we're doing combat, I'm offsetting any damage that I took.
Yeah, so Elenda's very cool. Very neat design.
Yeah.
Get to see her in the wild every once in a while, but I just, yeah. On one hand, it's oh man, Elenda got way better. And then later everyone's no, I'm not going to play her anymore. I got other stuff to do. It's fine, alright, you're missing out. I will partake then.
She's still wicked strong is the thing, so the times that I have seen her in the wild, she's been a very high power deck usually.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's probably why you don't see her as much.
But yeah, that is it for our vibe checks for this episode. We will now be going on to content.
Oh yeah, let's get into that content.
Consume content. I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway,
I've been watching some
Piper
Salubrious Snail.
Pod.
I've been watching some Salubrious Snail.
Yeah.
Listen to some normal podcasts as normal.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was completely shocked and surprised, and maybe I shouldn't be, just because of how so many people managed to work with WotC in some way, shape, or form. Dan Sheehan of the Pie Break podcast, formerly
Commander Sphere.
Yep, thank you. Is getting a secret lair, which I did not see coming. And not only that, it is a themed secret lair about his book. I'm now going to sound like a clown because I keep seeing the book.
Not a wolf.
Not a wolf. First off, that thing sold out already. So, you lost out. That's it. The artwork and everything about that secret lair is just so cool. It's all the reprints I think are super sweet. The artwork and even the token that gets included in it is like super awesome.
Yeah, I love that it's got the like cross out and then handwritten text in there so that you could just use it as a human token if you wanted to.
It's so... The thing about these secret layers, like, hit or miss, however you feel about them, that whatever. But it's the fact that it's such a thematic one that Dan sat down and helped make. And it's just... there's just something about it that is like, I would have loved to try to sit down and got myself a copy, but I just know that I would have either been too late, as it already was, and it's I think other people would appreciate it just a little bit more than me. But yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wanted that secret lair and ended up not remembering that it dropped like that day, so we got to like lunch and it was, I think, just like bundles and stuff that were available by the time that I was able to look at it, and we're just like, all right, well, I'm okay on this one, but it is a very cool looking lair, and I hope the people that get their hands on it super appreciate it.
Beastmaster Ascension looks great. If you're into Flip Werewolves, Everbuck Caretaker.
I think the Avaric Caretaker art is incredible.
Yes, so cool. And then a good old Tovalar Dire Overlord, aka not a wolf, flipping into King of Wolves is just so cool.
Yeah, it's sick as hell.
There's a lot of cheeky stuff in this, like having Garrick and Ayula, I think, in the background of the King of Wolves side.
There's also
just
a
like,
questing beast.
Wait, is there?
Yeah, I think that thing with 3 heads over there.
Yeah, that is actually Questing Beast. Wow, we've mentioned Questing Beast a lot this episode already.
It's our fucking boy.
But yeah, like, there is, of course, like, it's a cool take on an existing, like, pop culture, like, phenomena, like, of werewolves and hiding among humanity as a werewolf, and then being like, but what if you were a werewolf all the time pretending to be a human? I just really need to check out Dan's stuff a little more, I think is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, it's an extremely cool crossover event. I'm very, like, excited that he got to do that.
So yeah, check that out. Hopefully, if you people were keeping an eye on that, you got yours, and if you didn't, WotC, please go back to print to demand. We're just gonna, because this is just something that, like, pretty much flew under my radar until it was brought up, like, I think just as physical release happened. But we got a creature type errata through Modern Horizons 3, which, like,
oh yeah,
didn't really bother me a whole lot, but some people were up in arms about it. 3 creature types were simplified or integrated into other ones. So, cephalids are now octopus.
Mm-hmm.
So, sea monster decks, eat your heart out. Viashino?
Mm-hmm.
The lizard people, they're now lizards. So we got our lizard wizards.
Nice.
I think, because Party Crasher is a lizard wizard, which I love. There's a Bolus Mind Claw Shaman. Yeah, Mind Claw Shaman, which is like a Bolus dude for 5 mana 2/2 that's in red. Enters the battlefield. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may cast an instant or sorcery card from their hand without paying its mana cost. Also now a lizard shaman in this case, but neat little. I think all these changes are like overall inconsequential, but a lot of the old head Magic purists are like, but my Nagas, they're not snakes. Well, guess what? They're snakes now.
They're snakes mechanically. Honestly, I think it's only better. It's a lot easier to actually like play the game if your creature types are mechanically like linked. And cephalids being octopi is extremely cool and good for me in particular because I have cephalid face taker that I love and adore. Yeah. And now I can play that in my whelming wave deck, and she doesn't get bounced by that because she's an octopus.
That was my immediate thought when I heard of that creature type. I was like, now hold on a minute. Looks it up. Quinn's favorite card.
I don't know if she's my favorite card, but I do love and adore her very much.
One of your favorites for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Descent into Avernus is extremely high up there, and even above that is Timna the Weaver.
Okay, so in terms of the hierarchy of needs, if you get at least Timna the Weaver and Descent into Avernus, you are satisfied. But you can take a Face Stealer, because that seems... Yeah. Anyway, Sea Monster's cool.
Yeah.
The Sea Monsters decks have grown a little bit more diverse. I don't know. I just think I've been around the block, you know. I've been here a while.
Sure.
Where I've been seeing a bunch of changes, not just like in baseline Magic rules. You know, I wasn't there for Mana Burn, you know. I was from after that. But I've seen a bunch of like retroactive erratas and stuff, and rules changes, and like the legendary and planeswalker rules changes, and mulligan changes, and I'm like, yeah, this seems just like good in my opinion, but that's just me. It's just a game theory.
Wow, you've been there since the Deep Magic was written.
I was there, Quinn. Cast it into the fire. All right. So yeah, that was it for creature type errata. Just a minor thing that kind of like flew, to me at least, flew under the radar and was like, oh, this is a neat change. And then this one also for Modern Horizons 3, which has been going around here and there, that it's going like not just on my Twitter feed, it also hit Discord and also like my Facebook like group chats with people I play Magic with, where I'm like, what the heck what is going on here? So hey, I love red wheels. I don't know about you, but Wheel of Potential showed up in Modern Horizons 3 as an energy card that I thought was really interesting. And it was like, okay, so 2 and a red for sorcery, where you get 3 energy, and then it says you may pay X energy. And then it says, and this is the thing that people are having issues with, each player may exile their hand and draw X cards. If X are 7 or more, you may play cards you own exile this way until the end of your next turn. Now, Quinn, X equals the energy that you pay, right?
I think that people who have decided that it doesn't are being willfully obtuse, but every other instance that I've seen, the X on the card refers to the same X every time.
Yeah, so people are, I don't know what's going on. Apparently some judges are kind of agreeing with it, or people are trying to make this whole thing of like, well, technically you could declare any value for X because it doesn't say it equals X energy. And I'm like, did we not play with Gadwick the Wizened? Like, you draw, like, you know. But anyway, but so yeah, there's been several videos and memes and Twitter threads and this article that I'll be putting in the links on MTG Rocks of just how, like, there might be some kind of errata, and I think they actually indicated that there would be, like, a functional Oracle errata in the near future, but don't quote me on that. But it is just funny to see people absolutely lose their mind over a card that I don't know where it's going to be played. But hey, cool. Another red wheel. I was thumbs up on that. I like it. It seems cool.
Yeah, if you have a way to make the energy worthwhile, like to an amount that you can pay that, and seeing those cards is like it's enough cards for the energy that you're spending on it and the mana that you're spending on that as well, then I think that's interesting. So like in energy decks in particular, you can see a bunch of cards with it. I think that's neat.
And then just one last thing I didn't put on the docket here, but I did mention it earlier. It looks like the Brew It or Screw It boys are now the Brew Review boys. Cody and Laz looks like they did a bit of a brief rebrand, because I guess it's not like Brew It or Screw It wasn't rolling off the tongue, but I guess it's just they felt it was appropriate to change the name to match the vibe and goal of the podcast. So, I do like the logo. I feel very relaxed when I look at the logo.
It's sweet. Love that for them.
So yeah. I think... well, actually, hold on. You do have something here. I did not realize that. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I went back and listened to the Vorthos Cast episode on Assassin's Creed in preparation for looking at these new cards. They got one of their hosts who was like into Assassin's Creed almost as much as they're into Magic the Gathering, and gamers, they hired him for Magic the Gathering stuff, so you can see he's pretty into it. Just like a go off about Assassin's Creed for like an hour and a half or however long, and take you through some of the like key points of a lot of the things that were likely to show up on cards. And mind you, this is like 2 years ago, but it's still yeah, they were like 360 no scoping things that could potentially
the prophecy is fulfilled. Why is it always every once in a while? Like, I always love seeing this stuff come up, and it's not just in Magic. Like, it's in other, like, fighting game communities or video game communities or comic books or whatever. Like, 2, 3, 5 years ago, someone, like, rando is like, yeah, they're gonna do X. And you're like, no, that'd be crazy. And then, like, a few years later, you'll see them, like, retweet themselves or whatever, and they're like, hello? Like, what happened?
Oh, like me, I do that.
I think so. Like, for example, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 got announced for the bundle re-release that they're doing for all those games. And I think someone recently was like, or someone within the last 2 years was like, yeah, they're gonna bundle it together and release it on, like, everything. And they're like, am I God? Hello? It's just, yeah, it's crazy energy how people can be like, you know, it would be cool if they did XYZ, and then XYZ happens, and you're like...
Yeah, it's cool to just, like, put things together with information and, like, desires expressed by the community and see if you can plot those lines to their logical conclusion and throw whatever that is out into the wind.
Yeah, so, hey, Oracle of Delphi, eat your heart out.
Wow.
Calm down.
But yeah,
posters. I gotta go listen to that episode. That sounds pretty interesting to just see how on the ball that they were about that. That's also probably, God, if that was 2 years ago, that's not factoring in whatever they've done to Assassin's Creed in the last couple of years lore-wise either. There's some stuff that's in those Assassin's Creed packs that I'm like, what the fuck is this? Who are these people? It's wild.
There's a whole lot of game to get through to find out what everything is, and I don't know if I'm going to see all of it, but I'm going to try and at least see the first Assassin's Creed 2 game.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed 2. Beloved game. Even I know a lot about Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah. Our boy Ezio, the main face of the set, damn near. He's your
pretty
Assassin's
much.
commander. Like... Yeah, I gotta dip in there and see what he's about.
So yeah, that is it for our content mentions this episode. Let's go into decks and brews and games and stuff. What do you got going on?
Bunch of cookout gaming. So the last weekend I was out at Tabletop Jocks' The Cookout. we were out there playing a lot of Magic the Gathering, eating incredible food, and they were doing a bunch of filming of Tabletop Jocks. So some of those episodes or those games are gonna like show up on the channel with the like Tabletop Jocks production and all that. So that'll be pretty cool to look forward to. I played a bunch of games, and the metagame out there, sure is something, huh? I don't know if you're familiar with their content, Cole, but they like play pretty high power Magic on the channel.
I'm a little familiar with what Joe Johnson's bringing to the table. I know what's up.
Yeah, he'd be bringing that bullshit, and the guests appropriately also brought that bullshit. And that's just like what they play over there. So I'm a certified mids smoker gamers. Mm-hmm. I have like a couple of decks that swing for that metagame. So we did all right. You gotta just fucking...
You gotta lean into it. You gotta play some...
you gotta play good cards out there.
Yeah. Didn't we just go over it earlier of like what good old... hold on. Notes. Show me the way. Trash Magic. You just got to do some Trash Magic. Yeah,
I should have brought more Trash Magic decks, TBH. I did take Mardu Phoenixes out there, and Jeskai TARDIS, and Ultra Magnus, who's, I think, the best suited for that metagame. But the Jeskai TARDIS deck did pretty all right. And I also brought the Rakdos Rowan, which was, like, probably fine, TBH, but I just, like... didn't want to play a storm deck.
yeah, that's a lot of brain power when you're having a good time with a bunch of people and you're like, cool, time to go to the next game. Come back tomorrow, I'll do another game. You're like, how much brain power am I gonna devote to this? It's like, nah.
Like, she's appropriate for that metagame, but I'm just like, I don't know if I want to like do nothing for a couple of turns like, and then hit you with the Shingoku Satsu.
I'm okay with expanding my brain, but I don't think I want to do it like that.
Yeah. So lesson learned there. That's probably not a deck that I would bring to that metagame. Just because, like, I'm not trying to use that particular level of brain power, but we can, like, probably, for the future, throw something together that has the expected level of good cards and just, like, be able to jam more games and, like, hang better. So lesson learned there. I did find a couple of extremely good games where people were on the same, like, wavelength that I'm like usually playing Magic the Gathering at. So that was pretty cool. I got to play the Homegirl Crystal at Roaming Wisp's Idris Boats deck. Didn't really
What? Huh? Excuse me?
Okay, so Doctor Who mentioned Pierre, Idris, Soul of the TARDIS.
Oh, okay, yeah. And let's look up that cards.
Yeah, she's 1 red and a blue for a 3/3 human incarnation. She's got Vanishing 3 and Imprint, so when she enters the battlefield, you exile another artifact you control until it just leaves the battlefield. And she's got all activated and triggered abilities of the exiled card and gets +X/+X, where X is the exiled card's mana value.
So, like, you just imprint a bunch of vehicles?
Yeah, so you're blinking boats. There's a magmatic galleon, I think, that ETBs and deals some burn damage to a thing. You've also got the Sky Sovereign console flagship that you can do that with. There's a boat that ETBs and makes an incubator token, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just like a lot of like things like that, and you're casting that, and then you're casting Idris, and she's exiling that, and she's got all the activated and triggered abilities of that, so she's going to ETB and do the thing again, and then you have like blink spells, so you can blink Idris, and then your boat will enter, do the thing, and then Idris will enter, grab the boat, and do the thing.
Oh my god, okay. That,
I guess she's already in, so when she exiles the boat, she doesn't like do the thing, but like she tucks it away so that you can blink her and like do the blink and boats game plan and farm their ETBs. It's extremely cool, but she didn't get a chance to shine in that metagame, unfortunately. I think if I played that exact same list out here with some certified mid-smokers, I think that we could probably like see that game plan fully develop.
Have a bit of room to breathe and do the thing.
Yeah, I think we'd have a pretty good time with that. An extremely cool idea that actually was born from a tweet that I put out there. I was just like, there's something to this, and just posted Idris and like a bunch of high mana value boats with ETB abilities. And Crystal took that to the next level and made a whole ass deck around it, and she gets some wins out there when she's playing Magic the Gathering. So I'm extremely interested to play some more of that deck and see what it's about.
Awesome. That's like, I love hearing about freaking super duper weird off the cuff decks where you're like, sorry, could you go back, tell me that again? Because I feel like my brain did not comprehend what you just said.
Yeah, I think it's a really funny, a very cool idea. I'm glad to see it realized.
Awesome.
I also played some Ultra Magnus while I was out there, but
as you mentioned,
we're not going to get into that, and I will conspicuously wink at the camera.
So you were up to some bullshit, is what you were saying.
Yeah, but I don't want to spoil anything.
Right. So the devil is hand on shoulder whispering in your ear to not comment.
Yeah, it's actually a Gorgon in a suit, and they've got the sunglasses on, and they're, hand on shoulder. I've been advised not to comment.
All right. Well, perhaps another time then.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that, though.
Okay.
We also played Plane Chase with Fredo and Lenny and Steven. Usually I play Jeskai TARDIS for that, because the TARDIS forces planeswalking. In this game, she got fucking warp-worlded away by a planar phenomenon.
Yeah! The world conspires against you.
Yeah, so it was just like, oh no, I spent all of this time and effort finding my phone box, and now I have to start over. And there just wasn't a good window for that, so we didn't do a whole lot of relying on her that game. We hitched our wagon to the 10th Doctor, who we did end up finding. Mm-hmm. And he's usually fine to just if you find a doctor, you just play around with that doctor. That's what we built the deck to do. So we're just going to combat, putting stuff in suspend, ramping. You can push the time travel 3 times button, farm some more value. Unfortunately, other gamers were also warp-worlded into very cool board states. So we didn't end up living a whole lot longer than that. Lenny was in the corner building up an artifact count of just unrealistic levels.
Was this with, or is this Gumball Machine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you already know he was playing.
I know what's up. I know what he's up to.
Plenty of trash artifacts just hanging around, and then he gets warp-worlded into a pretty significant board state, and also just is a very cool deck builder with the intelligent choices and deck building prowess or whatever. So he's on top of that, plays a bunch of cool things, and then he's got these large constructs, and one of them's holding some fucking hot soup, and the other one's got the team pennant from Strixhaven.
Oh my god, no!
And they're large and in charge, and they're ready to end both Steven's and my game. But we think we're slick. We have interaction up our sleeves. Steven goes to remove his construct, and Lenny hits the counterspell on it. And I'm just all right, well, he answered that, which means I'm safe, because there's no way he has it again. I go to path my construct, and gamers, would you believe he has it again? Hits me with the fucking foiled negate.
As someone who's been they don't got another one, they always do somehow.
They always have another one. It's unfucking real. So yeah, we were fucking toast after that.
So what I'm hearing is I should start playing more blue, Quinn.
No, you gotta just play the... Well, it wasn't on my turn, so I guess a Conqueror's Flail doesn't help me. Yeah, I guess. Or cards that say your spells can't be countered. I think there's red spells that do that too, like Overmaster.
Yeah, but that's for instant sorceries. I should probably...
Yeah, well, I was casting a Path to Exile, so that's what I needed.
You know what? You're right.
I don't think I'm spending a deck slot on that, though.
No.
I did get to cast Response Resurgence, finally, in that deck.
Was that the
was
Hybrid
on,
Boros card?
Yeah, the Hybrid Boros split card. That's an extra combat on one side and 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature on the other side.
Yeah, I saw you hype up a bit about this one.
Yeah, I was on Twitter posting about how I should probably consider playing that because it's a force multiplier that I can play. That's not a thing that I can cascade into at an opportune moment because the mana value is fucking massive.
Yeah, it's 7. It's 7 collectively.
And we ended up in a position where that card was on suspend, and we just pushed the time travel 3 times button on the 10th Doctor. We cast that and a bunch of other spells, and then we suited him up because my TARDIS was made inaccessible, and then, oh no, it was because I needed my TARDIS to fucking block. And it was the first
And this is why you
Doctor
blow
that
up
was
the
made
TARDIS every
inaccessible.
time, gamers.
There was a fucking OG Achroma Angel of Wrath. The
Yeah?
8 mana 6/6 with the buckets of keywords, including but not limited to protection from black and from red. Gamers, a lot of that deck is red. Protection from red is unbeatable to me.
It sounds like a skill issue. Hold on. Let me find the quote. Hold on. Seismic skill issue.
Fuck. Wrecked. Got me.
You still gotta love. This is the thing, right? Is that I love hearing how all these big, sick, overcosted cards are still being played in Magic the Gathering Commander 2024, and you, of all people, are sitting there being like, gamers, my removal is red and damage based, there's nothing I can do, and you just lose.
I really did just lose to this 8 mana 6/6.
That is hilarious.
We're saluting. It was sick as fuck. It was a
Was
very nice
a
old school
Bloodrick
flailing.
card before I shifted gears like a year ago.
Yeah,
Change it up.
old Achroma. We remember her fondly. Mm-hmm. It's also got me thinking about the other Achroma with fire breathing, who I lovingly refer to as a dragon, even though she's an angel.
Yeah, that Achroma I am a big fan of. Good old Angel of Fury. Can't be countered. That's a good effect.
Yeah, huge fan. All right, what you got for us, Cole?
Well, how do I want to start this? I could go from the top of the list, which is I have successfully made up for the lack of games in May, and I've definitely more than made it up this month. I am at 28 games this month with only, God, what is it, 5 days left of the month to go?
Hell yeah, dude. That's
So-
a little over a game a day.
So we're back in the hot seat. It's a good time.
I love doing it.
Have Minch looks at notes. Has mentioned Tarian Soul Cleaver a couple times. There is a noted game. I think I mentioned it later in this, but I'm just going to mention it now. Fitz, I was playing a game with Fitz and Gabe, and Fitz's buddy Thor. Fitz had put out Descent from Avernus. Mm-hmm. We're like, hell yeah. And then Gabe, who was playing Tamio, was like, lol, Lamau counterspell. So that got rid of it. And then I was like, it's my time to cast Ascend from Avernus immediately after that, which I thought was just cool.
Nice. That's adorable. I like it.
Did
when
I win
get
that
to
game?
cast
No
both
fucking
of
clue.
those
I
in
just
the
did
same
some.
game.
I just did some shit that game. If there's anything, like, ever since I've trimmed the list, like the spreadsheet again, I got rid of the win-loss column. And it's just down to commanders, who was it, and what were they playing, did you cook, and then just generic notes.
I'd like to see that.
We're doing some good, lots of yeses, and a lots of hell yes, and a lot of oh shit yeah. Because we're back in the Bloodrick seed, and we've been doing some stuff, and people are like, God damn, this boy is putting on some creatures, and some shit is happening.
Nice.
But yeah, one particular game. Do I just want to go into it? My God, I'm just humming and hawing here. Let's talk about the experimental decks that I did. Let's leave the Bloodrick posting for last.
All right.
So, I was like, Tamiyo 1-drops, and you were like, hey, can I get that on my desk? And I said,
I was literally like, I want that on my desk in 2 weeks.
I'm like, God damn it, fine. All right, here. So, I sat and I hummed and I hawed, and because the Legendary Creature Podcast Discord community is so cool, they also took a look at it. They're like, let's cut that out. How about XYZ, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, Tamiyo Inquisitant Student 1-drops. Not factoring in Tamiyo, who is obviously very expensive by herself. The deck, I think, is under $100. Also counting the lens and stuff. Because everything isn't, like, not factoring in the X cost of spells. Everything is literally 1 mana. So you can play literally anything whenever, however you want. This is not factoring in if you're flipping her over or not. I don't know. So this is a super weird freaking deck. I wanted to weaponize Tamiyo in some way. Not really factoring in that, like, what if you draw 3 cards in a turn? God knows, because I got Brainstorm in there. But we get to do some, like, really weird, odd picks. You get stuff like Elvish Sky Sweeper, where you can sacrifice a creature to destroy a creature with flying by paying green and 4. The new Modern Horizons 3 Bestow Hydra, Nyxborn Hydra, where it gives the enchanted creature reach, trample, and +X for each +1 counter on the Hydra when you cast it for its bestow cost.
It's sick.
We got Ochre Jelly from the Dungeons & Dragons set, where it can eventually split, and but you could just pay X and just make it a large later. So this is such a weird deck. I was kind of inspired by Jim LePage from the Spike Faders. For the 1-drop. So I'm like, yeah, but let's actually get like a 1-drop deck with the 1-drop commander, and Tamiyo, just for whatever reason, seemed to have been it. It's really weird. God knows if this would ever be made into paper, but you cast
Only one way to find out, babes. You gotta Moxfield playtest it.
You gotta 3 steps ahead, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization. Let's play some Vapor Snag. Make that person lose 1 life. Overload Mizium Skin for 1 and a blue to give your creatures +0/+1 and hexproof until end of turn.
Perfect.
So if anything doesn't have kicker, it basically has kicker. We got some spree cards. We got Rancor. We got Curious Obsession and Combat Research. We have Wizard Class, because that is 1 mana.
It sure is a 1-drop. That's a way to finish the game, too. I'm extremely interested in this.
It's so weird. I normally don't do this because I don't really use the Moxfield playtester for anything.
I think you really want to with this to see if it's even worth bringing to paper. But on paper, this looks like it should work and be cool.
Super duper weird. Probably a lot of other 1-drops that I'm just not really considering, but it just seemed like a neat concept to just try and goof around with. And also I was just thinking about man, what if you just cast Giant Growth on Tamiyo, or whatever variant you want? Vines of Vastwood, Silk Guard, where you do put X in X and a green for an instant, where you put +1 counter each up to X target creatures, and then auras, equipment, and modified creatures gain hexproof until end of turn. So someone's like, target your... What do I got for artifacts? I target your here we go, Bloodforged Battle Axe, Tarian Soul Cleaver, the Lost Jite. So there's some stuff.
These are bangers.
It's weird. It's super weird. Yeah. So, I don't know, weird ass Tameo 1-drop / Voltron / I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just throwing darts at the wall and seeing what sticks. Yeah. Oh, it's cool. It's interesting. And then the other hypothetical deck that I'm still on the fence about, but I have the Honest Rutstein, is that it's a Honest Rutstein with Umori the Collector as the companion, and it's a creature-only deck. But what does that mean, and what do you do with that? And the answer is, I don't know. You obviously play Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Mm-hmm. You play Direfleet Ravager to start cutting people's life totals down by 1/3.
Nice.
You play your creatures like Emerald Dragon and Beanstalk Giant, so you still have access to some kind of other card type. Mm-hmm. Murderous Rider / Swift End.
I love that one.
Mosswood Dread Knight and Dread Whispers. Bramble Familiar and Fetch Quest, and so on and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. The White of the Reliquary. Like, God, what? Modern Horizons 3. Cool stuff. What the heck, man? Yeah. So you get all these cards. You're like, well, okay. How do you win the game, right? Like, it's all creatures. It's not like a combo deck. Maybe there's a combo in here I'm not aware about. But like,
you win the game with Overrun, babes.
You play like your Playcrafters and your Gravelighters, and you play like Dalek Drone. Good old 5 mana, 3/3 Flying and Menace. When it enters, destroy target creature and opponent controls. They lose 3 life.
I like that guy.
You play Carvanista Loyal Lupari, because Rutstein is a human. So whenever Carvanista attacks, you put a +1 counter on each human you control, which, humans are surprisingly a non-zero amount in this deck, so it kind of felt like, I got like a few human knights, we can back them up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So it's really weird. This is another deck where it's like, it probably would not take a whole lot, like not factoring in lands or anything, to get. You get to play like Harvester of Souls and Soul of the Harvest on like the top end, Mm-hmm. It's really weird. You can play your Sir Conrad and Dreadhound and try to like cut the cost of your high cost stuff to then use like some stack outlets or ETB triggers off like your Cursed Marauder or your Demon's Disciple. You get your 3 mana ETB, everyone sacrifices a creature variants, and just start cycling stuff, and then maybe you like sacrifice Honest Rutstein and then bring it back with Archpriest of Shadows damage trigger or Phyrexian Delver, and then you bring something else back to your hand. You kind of just cycle Torgar Famine Incarnate or whatever like a few times, drain people low, and then swing out, So I think there's something here that's pretty cool. I just, gotta sit down and like deploy it,
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I would like to see that in motion. It seems like you've got all of the pieces for a working deck there, though.
Yeah. So anything that like, maybe there's some questionable stuff. Like it's only like the first iteration. But I just thinking Honest Rutstein, which reduces creatures by 1, and then Umori, you choose creatures, and that also reduces by 1. So then you just start churning out like 1 mana Springbloom Druids or Farhaven Elves into ramping yourself, and then having surplus mana to do, I don't know,
move cards between zones.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's all gamers ever want to do is see more cards and move them between zones.
So yeah. Big, weird, hypothetical brewing with those two decks right now. It's kind of been interesting to just be like, maybe I actually sit down and like think about how to build a deck before I even think about throwing money into the wind and then being like, no, I don't like this deck.
It's very exciting. A new like era of deck building potentially for Cole, if this works out.
If this works out. I think that Honest Rusty Inomori is more likely to happen than Tamio, but
Yeah,
never
that's
say
fair.
never. But yeah, that is it for me for now. We'll get back to the obligatory Bludger posting later.
Yeah, then I guess we'll get to me over here, and I played the Ezio deck that I built, Hired Blades, Knife Emoji, with the updates. Now that we have the full set of ACR, Assassin's Creed, we have a lot more assassins now, and they all do way more than just tap to kill target creature now. So
Although, hey, Royal Assassin, very cool to see that back.
it is still in the deck. That gets reprinted a surprising amount, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was in, I think, the recent trip to Dominaria, and then now again in the Assassin's Creed. So yeah, we see it around. So yeah, that's cool. The game plan of cast assassins with mana that we bought via like a mana rock or casting free running spells looks like it works out. So like my mana base is Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Brotherhood Headquarters, 2 land destruction lands, and 31 swamps.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's a 5-color mono black deck.
Yes, go
So
on.
I've got assassins of all of the colors because
I'm loving the madness. What there's keep going. I love what I'm hearing.
yeah, I've got assassins in all 5 colors, and the rest of the deck, except for the spell that finds one of the Ezios, is mono black. So like all of my vegetables or whatever.
You see, I hear what you're saying. I don't hear what the issue is. You know,
It's actually fine.
You're always going to have free running, obviously.
Unless people really like get tired of my bit and then they kill Ezio.
Quinn,
By the time that they have done that, I have a bunch of mana rocks. You personally will probably be like, Ezio gets on the battlefield and he needs to not be on the battlefield. But when they've done that, I've got a robust ramp package full of 3-drop mana rocks that tap for 1 mana of any color. So I have all of my bobbleheads and chromatic lantern, so we can buy our way to a good mana base to cast our hired blades with. Otherwise, yeah, free running those bitches in. I'll put a fucking Thraxamundar into play on turn 3 for black. Watch me.
my god, it's an assassin!
Yeah, Thraxamundar's a zombie assassin. There's also Vein Ripper, who's a vampire assassin. That's my like a big scary top end. We have Calidus Assassin, who's like a 6-mana kill spell clone. That's also an assassin. And I don't think that like keeps its creature type or whatever.
Well, it's an assassin on cast.
Yeah, it's an assassin on cast and like in the graveyard, which matters for quite a bit in this set actually. Let me get back on track here. So yeah, that's our game plan of assassins. We've got all of the cool assassins and a lot of the new ones that I liked for my game plan of turn creatures sideways and also surveil and kill you with creatures. So this first game that I played with it, we needed to play it again because that was a possibility storm game. And, you know, those always kind of feel like they have an asterisk by them. If you're like recording notes on that, you're like, yeah, we played some Magic the Gathering games. Also, this one was a possibility storm game.
This one was the knowledge pool game.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. So we did see a couple of cool cards in the form of Ezio, and we had the Animus in hand that game, and we had to cast that into the storm. and we never saw it again. A lot of bobbleheads showed up. Those came in clutch. The intelligence bobblehead in particular is just like, here's some more cards for you to throw into the storm. I don't even remember what those cards that we drew into were because we just sent
it's
them to the bottom of the
possibility
fucking
storm.
library.
You saw red. You were like, I'm here to play my quote-unquote mono blacks deck. And then all you saw was red because Possibility Storm said lol lamau. What are you playing?
No, the thing is, it's actually fine to play into a Possibility Storm if you're like a air quotes casual creature deck. In my case particular, because I can cast Assassins for free running black, I'm just like spending 2 mana to yeet a thing into the storm and get like fucking these creatures in my deck onto the battlefield, like Aya of Alexandria or Queen Marchesa.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about Queen Marchesa earlier.
We also had Jacob and Evie Fry, who, when they like enter the battlefield, finds the other partner, and we ended up, I think, seeing both of those. They got to work together pretty well. Evie Fry, you can pay 1 and tap her to draw a card and discard a card. And when you discard a creature card this way, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. And then for Jacob, whenever 1 or more assassins you control deal combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target assassin card or card with free running from your graveyard. If you do copy it, you may cast the copy. So you can like discard assassins, and then Jacob provides you with that card advantage by letting you cast it from your graveyard.
Damn. Yeah, no, I think that's the one thing about the whole, like, Assassin's Creed design being 100 cards and being this weird, like, commander/modern legal set. Sick reprints, and then hey, all these assassins have really neat interactions with each other if you have Ezio as the linchpin to do the whole thing, and it just comes together and meshes super duper well.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the potential for like other people's Ezio decks and just like Assassin's Creed decks in particular. I think the Jacob and Evie deck could be really cool because those two are like they have partner with, you can play them in the command zone. So I would like to see that deck as just like the pure blue-black Assassins deck or whatever. That'd be neat. I have a pretty cool surveil package in this deck because of the interaction with the graveyard. That's how the games or a lot of the cards in the set explore the themes in the games of the like ancestral memories by moving cards between zones, including the graveyard. So you'll like surveil stuff from your library and then exile stuff from your graveyard, and you can put it onto the battlefield with some cards, or like put memory counters on it and turn into that or whatever, make token copies of that. I haven't gotten to play him yet, but Altair Ibn Lahad, he's the...
I'm thinking about him a lot recently.
He's really cool.
He's so cool! He's like, hey, how about you... Hashtag Shadow Clone Jutsu.
It is literally a Shadow Clone Jutsu deck. So whenever he attacks, you exile up to 1 target assassin creature card from your graveyard with a memory counter on it. Then for each creature card you own in exile with a memory counter on it, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Exile those tokens at the end of combat.
So as people have pointed out,
yeah,
it's a Chun-Li situation. Because they stay in exile with those counters, meaning you can reset and still have them exiled and be like, sick.
Yeah,
no...
You know what else puts memory counters on things and puts them in exile?
No idea.
The Animus.
Is the Animus gonna be your little TARDIS adjacent 2 mana artifact card that you're gonna be focusing on?
Maybe. I don't know. It's pretty cool is the thing. So the
it is really cool, yeah.
At the beginning of your end... it's a legendary artifact for 2 mana, and at the beginning of your end step, you exile up to 1 target legendary creature card from a graveyard with a memory counter on it, and then you can tap it, and until your next turn, target legendary creature you control becomes a copy of target creature card in exile with a memory counter on it. Activate only as a sorcery. So you can see there's a lot of, like... limiters put on that to keep its power level in check. But I do think it's a pretty cool card, and I played it the other day. I had some opponents who were playing extremely cool creatures like Zeatora the Incinerator and Sir Conrad the Grim, and those guys ended up in their graveyards, and then I was like, at the beginning of my end step, I'd like to exile target Sir Conrad. And then on my next turn, I would like do whatever I was doing with my creatures. And then when I was done with their ability text, I tap the Animus. I have them become a copy of Sir Conrad. And then I pass the turn.
Oh my god. Yeah, that... See... No, I got nothing else to say. This set's just fucking awesome.
It's extremely cool. I also got to do that with Zeatora the Incinerator, like, on my turn. So I'm like, here's this 6/6 flyer. Also, if I go to my end step, I have the option to yeet a thing and make 3 treasures. And I ended up needing the blockers that particular game. So I didn't, use
did
that
not
ability.
do the Zeatora, yeah.
But I still had a 6/6 flyer that I was just like, answer my threat, opponents.
People, this is why you play bad Magic the Gathering cards, so you don't have to deal with this.
Yeah. You can also just, like, do that with your stuff, too, though. So I was, like, milling Queen Marchesa and Erebos, God of the Dead.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think I hard cast Eye of Alexandria. Another cool card that I did like a graveyard stuff with was Yggdrasil Rebirth Engine. When Yggdrasil Rebirth Engine enters the battlefield, you exile all creature cards from your graveyard, and you can tap it to exile the top 3 cards of your library, and then you spend 4 and tap it to put a creature card exiled with Yggdrasil onto the battlefield under your control. It gains haste until end of turn, activate only as a sorcery. So it's a lot less compatible with memory counters, but it is still just like the same concept of there was stuff in my graveyard and now I'm cheating it onto the battlefield and I'm spending 4 mana to do that. Also, it gets haste.
Yeah, they're so... One of the things that I like about this set is that, like, thankfully they've managed to compress everything into 100 cards. Whether or not they needed the extra room or not, I don't know. But all the cool shit that got through, like, the Rebirth Engine's really cool. It's like, here's all these knobs, like, and these dials and stuff. Go nuts, have fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool cards in this set. I'm extremely excited about the deck that I put together for it. Especially the reprints of Cover of Darkness. I think it's going to be extremely cool for Evasion, and Black Market Connections is just like, hello, yes, I like value.
Oh, yeah, such a good reprint. God, Reconnaissance. With the cheeky
that's a really good reprint.
reminder text of Reconnaissance. Of like, yes, you can do this during combat. You're like, yeah? Hold on, let me bring this up. So, yeah, 0 remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. If you activate during the end of combat, the creature will untap after it deals combat damage.
Sick.
What?
I love that.
Get out of jail free card, let's go.
I got a little bit more Ezio fangirling to get through here, though. Ezio having evasion makes getting in for early damage to enable free running really cool. You can get some early board presence established like that. You're like hitting people early, and then you're free running enabled, so you cast your, the large assassins that we talked about earlier. Like, if you're in a sweaty metagame, you could just, like, spend your early turns tutoring for something like Thraxamundar, and ensuring that you have that on turn 3 every game. Because once he attacks, he forces your opponents to sacrifice a creature. You can make it extremely difficult for them to establish a board state at all.
Get that haste large with the force sack. Yeah, it's like, When I played Thraxamundar and Commander a decade ago, this was not that much of an issue.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a control win condition every time that I play him.
Fair enough.
So putting that into play extremely early is a thing for people to deal with. And now we're #Aya posting. She's Eye of Alexandria for 2 red-white, legendary creature, human assassin, menace lifelink 4/3. Whenever a historic creature you control deals combat damage to a player, make a 1/1 black assassin creature token with menace. A significant portion of my creature base is historic, and we were getting that combat damage in regularly with like her and Ezio, so I'm like 2 extra dudes every turn. Helped us block, helped us get in there for free running again because the tokens have menace. It felt really good. She's also got menace and lifelink, so she's helping herself get in there, and the lifelink was clutch as fuck to keep us in the game.
She's so bludgeon playable.
Yeah, you could consider playing that. I don't know if she's like, yeah, just think about it. She looks really good. Yeah, all in all, I think this Ezio deck is pretty cool. I'm excited to get more games in with it. There's a lot of, like, vegetables for the Assassin's archetype. I think we have a couple of glorious anthems now, so that all feels extremely cool. And the unique, like, card advantage that Assassins get, like, yeah, we have a Coastal Piracy Assassin in the form of that 5-mana Ezio, but the other cards that want to like draw and discard or surveil and put cards into your graveyard, and like that being the way that Assassins do card advantage is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was always wondering, like when they announced it, I was like, how are they going to manage to get away with doing a hyper Assassin's Creed / assassin typal set, and they managed to pull it off by allowing free running to like free running cost printed on cards like also happen to include commanders.
Yeah, I'm pretty into that. I think the cards will see play in other decks outside of just like the Assassin's piles if they say something like free running, and that means your commander's getting in there for combat damage. There's a lot of decks that have a commander that wants to deal combat damage. I'm looking at them. The free running card that like lets you exile a bunch of cards and you can play them for like it's the exile card advantage spell. Interested in that for red decks that commander deals combat damage, Yusri in particular. But there's a lot of places. I play a lot of red mana.
That we do, yeah. It's red's so fun. We were talking about Questing Beast, and I'm like, damn, I haven't had to think about Questing Beast in a long time. Everyone jokes about like having to read the card, but I'm like, green, no. Red though, I'm all about that shit. Give me more of that.
Oh, that's what we play Bone Crusher Giant and Leyline of Red for.
Indeed we do. Also power balance.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that.
Thinking about that.
That's a whole different paragraph, though. I said Jeskai power balance. We're in the lab swirling that in an Erlenmeyer flask. We'll get back to you in like 2 weeks, I think. We're going to think about a Elsha of the Infinite power balance deck.
Oh.
Maybe see if we can put some free dragons into play or something.
Hey, you can't steal my Jeskai Dragons bit.
Well, I'm taking a completely different angle on
I
it.
know, I'm kidding. I know.
This is a power balance deck, please.
Yeah, no. This... Much to think about.
Yeah, you can play a bunch of enchantment tutors to find your power balance. There's also Wild Research, which is one of the most bonkers
I was just going to
tutors.
say, please tell me you're putting in Wild Research, at least.
Yeah, I actually used to have an Elsha deck that was just the, like, Elsha top combo deck.
Yeah.
And that got boring, but I feel like if we resurrect this as a power balance deck, it could potentially be fun.
You see, chat, you see, audience, when Cole casts Wild Research and tutors a bunch of cards, Empress Quinn takes offense to that. But if Quinn does it, it's fine. It's power balance. What could go wrong?
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to think, what was the deck that I had while researching? Or was it a 4-color deck? Much to think about.
Yeah, much to think about indeed.
Modern Horizons 3 is a Magic the Gathering set with some cards in it.
It sure fucking is. Speaking of cards, tell me about your next one.
Is it? Yeah, you know what? We're hitting the 2-hour mark soon. It's the Bloodrick posting update of the episode.
Alright, let's get into it.
I have done some work recently, and the fruit of that labor resulted in a game that I just had the other day. I got myself signed out with Reversal Wizard, and I was like, hey, we haven't played. Let's get that shit going. He's like, hell yeah, let's go. It was a good time. It was super fun. I love it. That game was really great. Game 2 was when Audric came out, and I'm like, it's time to see what's up. And my opening hand had Ocelot Pride.
Oh, shit.
Tarian Soul Cleaver, 2 lands, Jorkadine, and, I don't know. I had, 1 and 2 drops, and, that was as far as the thought process went. And I'm like, cool, whatever. We can have turns 1 through 3, maybe. We got that 3rd land, right away. So, hey, no, never punish, no greedy keeps. But the early game was just devoted around the Ocelot Pride. And everyone there, so Evelyn, Vote Checkbox, and Anna Jane MTG were also there, and they also had to respect the Ocelot. When the Tarian Soul Cleaver hit and got equipped, excuse me, Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, was like, I cannot do anything to that cat because I have to sacrifice a creature to put that -1 counter on. We're like, cool, net 0. But unfortunately, despite the fact that, I did get to 5 mana, and then you cast your Jorkadine, the Prevailer, and you have a bunch of blood tokens out, because you very quickly hit the City's Blessing level when you get an Ocelot Pride out early, with a Tarian Soul Cleaver equipped. And then, because Ocelot has 3 keywords, you put out an Audric, which makes 3 blood tokens. And then Ocelot's like, hey, cool, you are now ascended. Let's make 3 more blood tokens and another cat token. And you're like, wow, this is super sick. Unfortunately, as I was going for a super awesome swing, Jorkadine got Mythos of Nithroid into Oblivion. I'm stealing this
gotta
from
respect it.
I'm stealing this quote because I mentioned it earlier. I stole this one from Jake Fitzsimons, who's the one of the leaders in making Spellify. And as he described it, because it's always funny seeing people who are involved with the project not know what a Magic the Gathering card is as they're trying to play Hangman and being like, I don't know what this fucking thing is. He said seismic skill issue for failing to figure out a card, and I just love seismic skill issue.
Yeah, that's a pretty creative roast
for having Jorkadine be played on curve and then get immediately answered, as he should. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what were the changes and stuff. So I had initially taken out the 1-drops that I had originally had, and then realized that was a mistake. So I was like, you know what, Karkline Ironworks, a little overrated, but I'm glad I got one. But we'll take that out. I was like, why don't I have a copy of Rabbit Battery? Or Battery Rabbit, or wherever the fuck...
No, it's Rabbit Battery.
It's right. Rabbit Battery, So you get your 1-mana red equipment, Rabbit, creature, that has haste. And then you could pay 1 red to equip creature so it has haste and +1/+1. That's pretty good. Ocelot Pride obviously had to go in. And as part of the trade-in of putting in a 1-drop lifelink for straight creature that makes cat tokens and doubles your token generation for that term if you have the City's Blessing, I was like, hey, I need more lifelink. So let's put in Runelurker back in. Because we need a few little more evasive creatures. I swapped out the traditional mana rocks, and maybe this will be a mistake, but I put in Pearl and Ruby Medallion to get some cost reduction. Because, hey, playing Odric for 2 is pretty good. Playing Aurelia the War Leader for 5, maybe 4, pretty good. And then, of course, as part of putting all this stuff in, and also finally in getting a bling package from all the way out in Quebec, random store recommendation from my buddy Joel. Also got that Surge Foil Celestine, the Living Saint.
Ooh, nice.
Because, it's been on the thinking block for a very long time. And I'm like, well, we put back in Sun Titan. Let's just, keep it going, So you get a 5-mana 3/4 that can bring stuff back if you've been gaining life. And it's like, well, that synergizes with the Ocelot, right? So it's pretty good. Got that foil Teleportation Circle, finally. Got that foil Ascend from Avernus. And the recent addition Thraben Charm for removal.
Nice.
Thraben Charm managed to exile some graveyards that needed to be answered, and being able to choose as many or as little as you want is also great. So with these new additions, some minor curve changes, get those early drops in there, and the new cost reduction stuff, and overall the changes have been feeling really good. Craig Boone, Novak Guard, has been a consistent overperformer in the last little bit. And other people also appreciate using it when they manage to kill it and then bring it back under their control. Mr. Bevers, I will never forgive you for taking it, but then I got it back and used it to win the game, so we're all good. Pre-war formal wear has been an excellent random piece of equipment to bring back, to put into the deck. Especially when you have Teleportation Circle out, or Sun Titan or something. So, when Pre-War Formula enters, you get to return a creature with mana value 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. It auto-equips, giving a +2/+2 and Vigilance. So when you start doing hey, I'm going to Sun Titan my Pre-War Formula and bring out Boone, or Veronica, or Professional Facebreaker, or whatever. Super
all
awesome.
All techie little value creatures.
Agris Cost Spirit of Justice has been super interesting to finally be able to deploy now that I'm actually seeing them a little more consistently. Because he's got that good old Titan templating of when he enters or attacks, you suspect a creature, and the suspected creature can't block and gains menace. And then if you target it again with the effect, you can exile the creature. So being able to do that to my creatures to give them menace, because I'm swinging out anyway, I'm not blocking with some of this stuff. So being able to give a random evasive keyword that also contributes to Odric's total count for the blood tokens, great. Being able to have a haste source and then throw Agris Cost out and then immediately exile one problematic thing on the ETB and then the attack, great. Also fucks up blocks in case you want to just be well, I could get rid of those things, but if I got you dead to rights, then I just say you don't block. Then Broadside Bombarders still continues to just fuck up the battlefield.
Love that guy.
So, yeah. Throwing Odric Blood Curse to people's faces is just really funny. So yeah, Odric's once again in a good spot. And that is the Odric posting update of the episode. Thank you for listening.
Way to fucking go.
Will I also be Aya posting in the near future? Maybe. She's got Menace and Lifelink. That's pretty freaking relevant. Making extra bodies, also relevant.
Yeah, she is pretty cool. I think we might see some Aya posting from quite a few people in the future.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
yeah, no. This
2 hours.
No, this hour. That's it. That's it. We'll save Mr. Orfeo for maybe another episode.
All right, sounds good. Cole, tell the people where they can find us.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn this time. You can find me at UncommonCMDRMTG on Twitter. You can find Quinn at GirlDickEnergy on Twitter. Moxfield's gotten some neat updates. Maybe go check us out on Moxfield. Mm-hmm. GirlDickEnergy for Quinn. Eclipse Meteor for me. I mean, heck, I'm putting up links to our deck list. You know where to find us there. And then, of course, you have the HBVC_MTG on Twitter, and you can find us at Heroes Blade Vibe Check on YouTube. And we're on some other places, but honestly, like, does anyone use Blue Hub, really? No, not Blue. No, Blue Sky. Yeah, that's a website. As Twitter continues to spiral down the drain. X? Who cares? That's not the name of the website. That thing is trash.
Anyway.
That's it. Show's over, everyone. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Alright, later gamers.